Gracias, Antonio. Mi amigo. I want to apologize. Antonio doesn't speak English, so I'm sorry. Sorry for that, okay. So I've been doing a lot of talking today. Now, if you missed my class at 3:30, was it, or 3 o'clock? It was the deepest wisdom that has yet been expressed on earth up to this time. So sorry you missed it. But I'm going to not talk because I'm tired of talking. So I want to show you something I'm sure is going to be entertaining. This is what I call limitless, unlimited harmony, okay? So this is basically every kind of chord we use. When you say minor, you should always think there's several. I left out Locrian. I could put that in there. It's not easy to do what I'm going to do with Locrian, but yeah, you could have Locrian too. You have Dorian, you have Phrygian, you have Aeolian, and minor major 7. A lot of people forget about the minor major 7 a lot. With this exercise, you can randomly get a relationship with every kind of chord. Majors, there's sharp 4, sharp 5, and it's pretty common now, sharp 9. You all know about that? It's like a B, if you're a guitar player, it's a B over a C. If you're a bass player, it's a C. Okay. Sharp 4, sharp 5, sharp 9, right? Susses. I add susses because it's a different voicing, but it's the same chord. It just means that it's based on a sus 4. So when you say sus flat 9, it's really a Phrygian. When you say sus flat 6, it's really an Aeolian. But then there's a couple that don't really exist. Sus with a major 3rd, sus with a major 7. That's kind of a mixolydian. And I did leave out, I realize, you have a sus. If you just have sus minus 7, that's actually Dorian. So it's just a different voicing. Sometimes in this exercise, I may or may not find the sus, but you'll see. Now, I want to try something. Let's take 4 notes. Give me a note. Say a note. No, don't sing a note. Say the name of a note. Correct! Okay. Another one. F. E flat, F. Another one. G. E flat, F, G. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. E flat, F, G. One more. What? B flat. So we got E flat, F, G, B flat. Now, forget music. Don't try to find the right thing. There's a list of most of the regular chords. Pick one. Sus what? What? Sus 2, the one that's not on here. All right, well, all right. So E flat, sus 2. I forgot that. Okay. Pick another chord. Minor major 7. Pick another chord. Major. Which major? Just major 7? Yes. Okay. Okay. One more. What? Major 7 sharp 9. Okay. So now we pick the 4 notes randomly, and we pick the type of chords randomly. This should not sound very good, right? So I need to turn it a little bit just to see what we did. same 4 notes, because it doesn't really matter what the bass note is, but let's change the type of chords. And you're ignoring my favorite, which is the Aeolian. It's actually your favorite too. And even Miguel may or may not realize it's one of his favorite chords. It's just that he doesn't play them all at once. He plays them in an incredible rhythm. But you have to add it up and go, oh wow, he likes Aeolian. All right, let's try it again. I'll sing Phrygian, E flat Phrygian. Does somebody want to say Aeolian? Aeolian. Correct. Aeolian, right? Now, something else? Lydian. One more? What? Say it louder, please.
Sus major 7.
Sus major 7. Ooh, you know, those are harder for me. Okay. So sus with a major 7. Let me remind myself what a major 7 is of B. So, let's see again. Hey, not bad. That's not a bad progression. In fact, for most of you, it might have been the most interesting progression you have ever written. So why does it always work? Why does it always work?
Because you're playing.
Correct. All right, let's go on. Why does it always work?
Because you feel comfortable.
What?
You feel comfortable.
No, it's not a wellness issue. Why does it always work? Voice leading. That's it. What is the power of voice leading? When I harmonize, when you harmonize, this is the way most people harmonize. I'm sure you've sat at the piano, Tom. This is the way you harmonize.
How did you know?
Right? B flat. Well, let me look at my menu. You could even put them in a hat and pull them out of a hat. B flat, Phrygian, G, minor major 7. That's already an amazing progression, isn't it? Just voice leading. So the way I move forward is think of the bass note first. So what are the applications? You always think of harmony as one thing. It's the bass note and the chord that goes with the melody. If you separate them, it becomes much more fluid. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's take a bass line that is very standard. So normally this would go with something like on top of a most standard bass line, you don't even recognize that I'm repeating it. Check it out. That's the power of separating the idea of a bass note with any kind of a chord. So what's some of the power of that? So I'll try to play a tune now. I'll play Body and Soul. I'm going to play a medley. Body and Soul. Give me a bass note. C. Give me a bass note. A. Bass note. Bass note. B. That's me right.
D.
C.
A flat.
Oh, I'm playing around midnight.
Yeah.
A note. B. B flat. E flat. F sharp. A. G. C sharp. F sharp. So if you can do that fast enough, reharmonization becomes harmonization. What you do is, and sometimes like piano players, they paint themselves into a corner. Like you're playing like a solo piano intro. That's when the leader of the band is actually a piece of shit. So he's going to play a solo, so he's going to go like, now his mind's going to go, oh yeah, this is real spiritual. Oh yeah. What do I do now? Well, just stop being spiritual. It's got to be clever. I could say B flat. Now I could stay conventional. Music starts to write itself. You take a few moves and then like, oh, I'm a half step away from the top again. That's a form, I guess. There's a lot of applications for it,
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So when you were doing the reharms and we were calling out the bass notes, but in your right hand, you were just choosing the quality based on the notes that we were calling out?
Well, I kind of lost the melody because I forgot which tune I was playing. But if I took it just a little more time, okay. Give me a name of a note.
A.
A.
I like it.
F. G. C. A. B flat. E flat. G. F sharp. E. You know what I mean? Yeah, well, no. You see, when you have a melody, then you don't have the whole menu available. You only have available what note will work with the melody note. So the way you practice this, you take 4 bass notes, you take 4 qualities without thinking about it, and then you put them together. And you take as much time as you need, because it's not important that you just get it done. It's important that you tune in enough to realize a good voicing for the first one, because that's going to determine what happens to the next one, right? And just 4 chords. And you will have come up with 4 polished chords that get you out of that box we paint ourselves in. I'm going, So now my mind's going, oh yeah, African thing, Archie Shepp, 1968, Oh shit, so much reference, right? A flat. They didn't do that because nobody knew to just pick another bass note. It was just C minor over C minor. So, you can get into like whatever you're already familiar with, but you can get out of it by just picking a bass note and a chord. Now you can't do that so well on the fly, but if you were to practice 4 chords a day, in 1 year, you would be a harmonic master. So I say that, there's always a psychological element. nobody will practice it for a year. So you just have to take my word for it. But if you were coming from the space instead of from your ego, you might practice it for a year. Then you could send me an email. Because you would have found a ton of heavy shit. What can you do with this? Let's say, all right, I'm playing A flat Dorian. Someone pick a chord, and a bass note and a chord.
G major 7 sharp 11.
No, you keep going because I can hear you. Anything, any bass note, any chord there.
A minor major 7.
So I'm writing a tune right now. One more.
B flat minor 9.
What is it?
B flat minor 9.
I just wrote a tune. Now there's other things, like I like to use a pedal, but not at the bottom. So check it out, I go. This is another thing to practice. Now, when you call out a bass note, I'm going to make a chord, but it also has to go with B flat. Call out a bass note. What?
A flat.
See? Yeah. That starts to happen typically if you practice this. This kind of color change. Now imagine all the rhythm you write, but now you have this unlimited palette of harmony. You kind of have a new tune, you know? Because a lot of times, really interesting rhythm, and you do it actually, the tune you've given us that we're doing again, you manage to put in intriguing chords while we're dealing with the flow of the rhythm. That's beautiful. That's what I'm into. All the tunes I wrote in the 90s had all these, when I found this, they all had that kind of shit, but unusual rhythms to the melody of it, you know? Because it was just like finding a new toy.
But that was an exercise actually, because the melody is a 12-tone row.
So that drove you in a few places
Yeah.
that you wouldn't have gone if you didn't have something going, right?
Exactly.
So this is kind of like that, except you can pick any, the randomness of it is what teaches you new stuff. Even if you say major 7 sharp 11, but you happen to be on C sharp, maybe you never play that chord. But it was the luck of the draw. E. There's too few notes, by the way. F sharp. A. E flat. B. Then you can go normal for a while. And then even when you're being normal, it's not as stuck. It moves. You practice things, and I have been telling the people who are in my classes, the reason we get overwhelmed by practicing is because we try to practice everything we're going to play. But I don't practice everything I'm going to play. I practice things for the effect they have on my playing. I don't practice everything I'm going to play. I practice things for the effect they have on my playing. This is just 4 chords every day, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. But what effect will it have on my harmony? If I take one simple rhythm and I get it to the point where it plays itself, what does that do to the rest of my rhythm? Instead of practicing 12 things and not getting anywhere, which is what most people do. You know, it's really amazing. Everybody practices, nobody gets better from practicing, but nobody even expects that anymore. It's just, if you practiced it, you're a good boy or girl. If you didn't practice, you're a bad boy or girl. But how do you practice so that it changes your playing? You practice less things, but you go deeper into them until they sort of play themselves. And then that becomes the standard. This is a harmony exercise. You do the same thing with lines. I thought I'd pick one today because it would limit my talking, but as you can see, that's already going out
Because everything comes down to effortless mastery, really. How are we doing here? Oh yeah, we've got some time. A few minutes. Effortless mastery means mastering your mind. Means when you're practicing, you're not thinking, God, I'm never going to get there. Or I wish I started this 10 years earlier. Or, you know, those thoughts make what you're doing useless. How do you get out of the conscious mind and into the space? If you read Effortless Mastery, the name of it is the space. The space is literally, there's many names for it around the world. Hashem, the world tree, the Holy Ghost, superconscious mind, universal consciousness. It's a space. You know what? It's amazing how cosmic it is. Just the absence of thinking. Thinking kind of spoils your practicing and kind of gets in the way of your playing. So why everybody agrees with that? Why didn't somebody think, I think I'll practice not thinking while I'm touching my instrument? Because as soon as you start touching your instrument, you start thinking, I hope I sound good. I hope they think I sound good. I wonder, is Antonio in the room? Maybe they think, geez, that guy plays better than me. He's 7 years younger than me. Fuck! Well, then what am I doing? Why do I bother? Because if you're in the space, you don't compare to anybody else. Space is the practice of appreciation of who you are. Not a constant wishing that you were someone better. We know that doesn't work in life, but we're very willing to do it in music. You got the feeling that of the 100% of people playing music, there might be less than 1% that actually get the joy that you thought you were going to get. Right? And the reason it's less than 1% is because you think you have to play as good as that to get that joy. Your focus is on the wrong thing. Doesn't matter how good you play. It's how much you let the sound you make penetrate you. Now I know that's true because there's music that's built on one sound. If that's all I need, how can I lose? From the conscious mind, you're always measuring yourself. You're always saying, how good am I? How am I doing? From the space, you're just doing. From the conscious mind, you're worried about the future or you regret the past. What's going to happen after the pandemic? Am I going to have a job? Well, how do I know that? But how do I keep myself from thinking that? That's the point. Right? From the conscious mind, it's fear of the future. For you guys, it's all age appropriate. For me, it's like, are my ventricles okay? Do I have good circulation? For you, it's like, am I ever going to get a gig? I already got a gig, so I don't think about that, right? But it's age appropriate. But whatever it is, you don't know the answer anyway, so why bother asking the question? When you ask the question, it makes today impotent. It makes today, oh God, what's the sense of practicing? I don't know what I'm going to do in life anyway, So how do you get out of the conscious mind and into the space? Surprisingly easily. Let's try it. Is everybody in this room breathing? Wait a minute, I'm going to actually, wait a minute. Yeah. Everybody in this room is breathing. And you're probably wondering, how did I know that? It's a gift. Everybody's breathing, right? You're virtuosos. You're breathing on your worst day. You're breathing on your best day. You're breathing when you just met somebody. You're breathing on the day you break up. You're breathing when someone's born, and you are breathing when someone dies. Let's take 20 seconds and just watch this miracle. Because without that thing, nothing else you're thinking about has any possible use. I'm going to say 20 seconds. I'm going to actually get my thing out. This is called an app. You ready? Does everybody know where they breathe? Are you all aware that you are breathing right now? All right, I'm giving you an exercise right now, and I'm telling you, don't make anything more out of it than what I'm saying. Don't think of it as, oh yeah, I took yoga, breathing, yeah.
8 in, 4 out. No, no, no. Don't think I did Tai Chi, we did breathing, and I saw God. No. There's a gizmo in your body, and it breathes. So don't even watch you breathe. Watch it breathe when I say go. You ready? Go. And stop. You might feel a little different already. See, you can't outsmart your mind. Your mind is smarter than you. But you can take a break. So let's say you're worrying, we're supposed to play tomorrow and someone told me I have to do this or you have to do that. Now I'm worried about it. I'm worried about the future. I'm going to take a break. I'm already breathing. I'll watch myself breathe for 20 seconds. That is the space. The reason I make it 20 seconds, because if I said 5 minutes, you wouldn't even get there. If I said drop the drama in your life for 5 minutes, you go, okay, let me try to do that. Wait a minute, that drama, I was really working on that. But for 20 seconds, see, it takes someone extremely not committed to find this exercise. I kept doing yoga, I have a guru, and I just never did anything, because I'm too lazy. So I had to say, let me keep paring this down to something I could do, right? And now I can do it anytime. I'm walking down the street, I'm thinking about, does anybody like me? Now when I think about that, I think, now I've been down that shithole many times. It never ends well. Now I'm already breathing. I think I'll watch myself breathe, 20 seconds. See, my mind was saying, Kenny, look heavy now, because look at this heavy shit you're talking about. But I'm not thinking from my mind. I'm watching this little gizmo breathe. As long as it's meaningless, I can do it at any moment. It's when it starts to mean something, oh, I'm not in the right. When I show this to my students, I say, who didn't do it? And they go, okay, tell me why you think you didn't do it. Well, I couldn't get in the right space. No, that's not why you didn't do it. You forgot how ridiculously simple it is. Are you already breathing? Yes, okay. I don't even know you, but you see that? Okay, you know where you're breathing? Watch yourself do it. If you start to feel gratitude or anything like that, it's an accident. But yeah, when you get out of the room of thoughts and you go into the space, you kind of go like, wow. It's like when you bang your head against the wall, it really feels good when you stop. Wow. I'd rather experience that perfectly for 20 seconds than try to get there for 5 minutes. So I finally found something I could do. In fact, during that last administration, I said, this is an exercise so easy, even an American could do it. Can you imagine that? That's like training a dog. Look at Americans, obviously. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. Even Americans do it. Even a guy, wait a minute, I used to have a big stomach, so, you know. I've got a beer, I'm in a lazy boy, he's got a beer over here, and got, you know, okay, I'm watching the football game. I go, hey, are you breathing? Yeah. Watch yourself breathe. I said, great, now vote Democrat. You've got to come to your senses sometime before we destroy the fucking world. So anyway, so I discovered stuff like this when I realized music is easier than you think.
Most of the time, you are oppressed by the pseudo-importance of music. If I ask you what's important about music, you're going to say, the world, Duke Ellington, blah, blah, blah. But no, what's important to you now is that you think about, how am I playing? How am I doing today? Oh, it's an hour later. How am I playing now? I'm like, basically, it's this musical form of narcissism. If I said, what are you trying to do when you play? Well, I want to sound good. Doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with that, right? But if we were talking and I said, when you talk to me, what are you trying to do? Kenny, when I talk to you, I want to sound good. You can see the obvious shallow. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to sound good. I want to contact something deep inside and I want to let it play. Now, you all want to do that, but there's one thing you've been skipping. In order to surrender, you have to surrender your most dearest possession. The need to sound good. If you say, let's use a lot of New Age do I have to stop? I think I have to stop. Right? I'm going to surrender to the grand mauve cloud of the grand poopah, and I'm going to say affirmations that say, I am great and everything's okay, and I'm going to surrender. And when I play, I will be an instrument. But then in parentheses, and then I'm going to play my ass off. So as long as you're still thinking it's all about playing your ass off, you're not surrendered. Unconditional surrender actually means you surrender the need to sound good as well. It can't all be about sounding good, otherwise the whole thing is, you don't really find the reward. What's on the below the Mendoza line? I sound like shit. You know what? As soon as you let yourself do that, you sound great. Any great player will tell you that. As soon as you let your arms and feet flail, you can't believe what you're playing. It's not magic because you also use the same space to practice things that you don't know. I don't have time enough to say how many things go wrong when you come from the ego instead of coming from the space with musicians. That's part of what we've been covering during the week. But if you want to just start to experience the real you, who is the real you? The absence of you with the absence of desire. You with the absence of hope. Forget hope. Hope is a drag. Hope is a buzz killer. Don't hope, just be there. Right? You without the need to sound good. You without the need for others to think you sound good. The you that happens when you just watch yourself breathe. Then I suddenly realized, is it inaccurate to say, if I watch myself breathe, that I'm focusing on the complete source of my life? No, it's perfect. It's actually perfectly accurate. And yet we never do it. You think music's so important. In my first book, there was a little, and I'm gonna close here. In my first book, there was a thing called the plastic bag test. And I'm glad nobody did it because I never got sued or put in jail. You go to the kitchen and you get a baggie. The biggest ones, those are really, put it over your head. Now you can still breathe, so you need that electrical tape, right? Now you look at your watch. How important is music? 30 seconds. After 45 seconds, is bebop the real shit? A minute and 5 seconds. What's up with Cecil Taylor? No. You would give up music in a second just to get your breath back. But here's the thing. If you learn to be entertained by your breath, a lot of stuff that seems to be in the forefront goes to the background. And you start to flow. It's the same thing with music. If I go inside instead of outside, I'm not the player, I'm the instrument. I'm not playing, my hands are. That's true. Without hands, right? Listens instead of tries to conduct the action, my hands will seduce me. That chord just seduced me. intoxicated from music. I better stop there because we only have a certain amount of time. Thanks.
Are you ready to go?
Let me just check.
2 segunditos y continuamos.
No, no, no.
Bueno, y ahora vamos a continuar con la nominada al mejor disco de jazz vocal del año pasado en los Grammys. Y nos va a demostrar cómo utiliza todos estos increíbles efectos y pedales. Dan Alexa.
They always come from far away. You end up trying to make them stay, but it takes two to run away in love. Together we can make it work, despite our homes around the world. They'll say we're crazy rushing into this, but now that we know how it feels, we can't resist. Boom, 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 the day that he found light inside a crystal, it made crossing the ocean much more simple. Together we can face the impossible, he said. She showed him how the world could be magical, how nothing they could ever face would
Gracias. Thank you, everybody. So I want to talk to you today about using electronics as an extension of your instrument. I happen to be a singer, but anybody can use electronics, any instrument, whether it's a horn, whether it's a guitar, whether it's a bass, whether it's drums, whether it's, anything, anything. The use of electronics basically allows you to expand the sound. You can expand it harmonically, you can expand it rhythmically, you can expand it just in the idea of production. So the way that I started thinking about music, my music in particular, is how it relates to the sonic experience that the audience has. And the electronics help a lot to create a sonic experience. So I can change the quality of my voice without changing my actual voice. I can use a harmonizer. I can use bass notes. I can, basically make the voice sound like a synthesizer. I can create a vibe with electronics. And I was using electronics a lot before the pandemic, but when the pandemic hit and there were no available musicians other than this really kind of mediocre musician that I live with, the idea was to try to see how I could create what I wanted to hear and what I wanted to feel with this. And so what I'm using is 2 looping and effects pedals. One of them I use only as a looper and effects. The other one I use strictly for effects. Usually it's just because of the click track and how everything lines up together. So what I started to do in the pandemic was take apart my tunes that I wrote for quartet and quintet and figure out how I could express them or how I could play them without the rest of the band. How can I become the rhythmic element, the melodic element, and the harmonic element? And also, how can I create an emotional response from the audience? How can I create this cloud or carpet of sound that you hear that makes you feel like you're being surrounded just by colors? And that's really what I'm trying to do here. The song that I just played for you is a very, very simple song. I wrote it actually for my best friend's wedding. And it originally started not with the looping pedals, but just as people singing in the middle of the jungle where my friend got married and everybody was singing different parts and it was very beautiful. And I thought, oh, I could probably do this on the pedals. So, this is a very simple harmonic tune, and a lot of times what I'm doing on the looping pedal, or what anybody does with looping, you have to have something set harmonically so that you are either looping the same thing over and over again, or you can create different sections of a song with what you're looping. But you obviously know how to build harmony and you know how to build rhythm, so that's not what I wanted to really show you how to do. I mean, there are things that if you want to come up, after the class and see little details on how you can press the button and where to go and the different settings of, how you can make the voice sound, we can do that. But really what I wanted to show was how you can take a voice and change the sound. Change it so that you create an orchestra of sound, and so that you can also create energy. Because the human voice is energy. That's what lives inside of all of us. Every single person here has a human voice. Whether or not you use it is a different story. But everybody has a human voice, and you have a human voice on your instrument. And on that instrument, you can expand it and not even know where you're going to go. So for example, just taking one effect and seeing what that does to how I sing. Taking just a simple thing like a delay. I want us to build a tune. Okay? We're gonna start like we have a drone, right? This is our drone. Antonio's gonna play a groove, and then we're gonna come up with something from that. So, I mean, the whole point is that, and this is what I've been saying in my classes, in my vocal class and in the ensemble class. Music is about searching. You know, you don't know where you're gonna land. I found today that we were talking about, you know, just harmonically, where can you go and how do you take chances, and you have to think about it like you're a cat. A cat will always land, you know, like that. And just taking chances and seeing what sounds guide you where. It's just like what Kenny was saying. It's not so much about how well you're playing or something. It's just about how it's making you feel. So that thing, I mean, it was not planned at all, but the combination of the effects, and then obviously the combination of Antonio and, I'm sorry, what was your name? And Alan. You know, they felt the vibe of just that drone, and then they went with that. But it doesn't have to be this dark, you know, something like that. It can be anything. And that's the beauty of creating sound by yourself. This is also an incredible tool to practice with. So for example, there's a tune. Let's see here. You know, for vocalists especially, it's difficult to practice things when you don't have something to practice with, when you don't have other musicians. And, you know, I used to, before I used any of these kinds of loops and effects, I would use a lot of, make a lot of sequences for myself on GarageBand. I would just play my little MIDI keyboard, play the drums, play the bass, da-da-da. And then when I started to use this, I changed from using GarageBand to using this. So for example, there was a very easy harmonic structure in a tune that somebody brought into one of my bands, and they wanted me to take a solo over it. And so the first thing that I did was figure out a way to do it on the looping pedal so that I could do it with myself. So let me just find that. Let's see how loud this is. So this is the harmony of the verse, okay? There is a tree in
stands all alone. He's waiting there for you to choose. He waits for you. He waits for you. When he conforms the seed in my soul. There's a tree in your yard. He stands alone. He's waiting there for you to choose. He waits for you. He waits for you. When he conforms the seed in my soul. So strong, so long, so late. He waits each day. What can he do? So strong, so long, so late. He knows your soul and all of the ways of you. One icon, one deep one, he waits for your warmth and your sweet home to hold his dreams. One icon, one deep one, don't make him stand long there in your yard. You feel him such pleasure. All he needs from you is your sweet home to hold his dreams. You feel him such pleasure in your home.
Now we go back to the top, and this is the solo. So you see there are two sections of the tune that I was able to create harmonically. And each section I'm thinking of orchestration, right? So there's the bass line, and then there's when the rest of the band would come in. So it creates a little bit of tension and release. But this was my practice.
So strong, so long, so late. He waits each day. What can he do? He knows your soul and all of the ways of you. So strong, so long, so late. He waits each day. What can he do? He knows your soul and all of the ways of you. One icon, one deep one, he waits for your warmth and your sweet home to hold his dreams. One icon, one deep one, don't make him stand long there in your yard. You feel him such pleasure, all he needs from you
trying to think of now when I'm building loops is my practice, like how can I practice with myself? How can I create the band? But I'm also thinking as a composer, and you're allowed, of course you're allowed, you're supposed to be thinking as an orchestrator, as a composer. How can I take this song that has really just 2 sections, but create different levels of intensity throughout the song based on what I add and subtract from the arrangement? And also practicing rhythm, it's really great because this thing is on a click. I'm listening to the click track, and you're always going to be with the metronome. A lot of times, you know, like when we were looping with Antonio and Alan, there was no click there. So, you know, it was not, I mean, Antonio was the click. But my bass line that I looped was not exactly, you know. So this is a really good policeman, let's say, because you can stay in the tempo and stay in the harmony. So that's another thing for anybody who's trying to sing or play things that are outside of the harmony. How can you do that? How can you experiment but have this constant, you know? How can I practice rhythm here? You can have a conversation with yourself. Yeah. Thank you. So really, I mean, for me, this, just having this amazing thing has opened up a sonic world. You know, it's opened up things. I mean, for example, right before the pandemic started, Antonio and I were in Los Angeles at the NAMM convention, which I'm sure most of you know about NAMM. It's a big music convention where all of vendors from all over the world in music, they come and they sell their products, from instruments to, you know, software to equipment, blah, blah, blah. And we were doing well, Antonio was asked to do something for Yamaha, since he's a Yamaha artist. And we had just come off of a tour, and he said, well, you know, Tana is here with her pedals, and maybe we can do something together instead of me playing for 20 minutes just drums, which I'm sure they would have loved anyway. But it was the first time that we ever did anything like that. And we had no idea, we only knew how we were going to begin. We didn't know what was going to happen in the middle, and we didn't know how we were going to finish the thing. But between the two of us, listening to each other, and the sonic experience that I was able to create with the loops and the effects, and the way that he reacted to that, and then the way I reacted to him, all of a sudden there were 30 minutes that went by and we had no idea what happened. But there was a sonic experience, and so that's, for me, music is an emotional experience and a sonic experience. And everything that you create with your instrument, all the sounds that you make, they don't have to be conventional, they don't have to be traditional, they can be, be experimental with it. And with these kinds of things, I've been able to open my mind to what the voice can do. Make the voice sound like a synthesizer. Okay, let's try. Make the voice sound like a bass. Okay, let's try. Make the voice sound like a saxophone. Let's try. And just see by trial and error. But it's been a really great exercise to take apart my own compositions and figure out how to orchestrate them myself. I feel like I've become a better composer and a better orchestrator because left to my own devices, I have to think, what would I want someone else to play? And with my voice, how can I create that sound that I would ask Antonio to play on the drums, or that I would ask Kenny to play on the piano? You know, so you have it all in your head because you're all very musical. And sometimes you just need some sonic experience to open up the top of your head. And yeah. How much time do you have left? 10 minutes? Okay. Want to do something? I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to try. Well,
We could do something,
okay, you guys take your pick. We could do something completely improvised, or we can do a tune that we do together.
like a New York City.
Improvised.
¿Puedo tomar estos prestados? Gracias.
Yep. I mean, the whole point is that it can be anything, even when it doesn't work. I mean, okay. It works. But also the cool thing that I've recently discovered with these things is that you can be the orchestrator, the composer, the looper, the harmonizer, the rhythmic thing, but you can also be like a DJ. I mean, doing these, you can do different rhythms, you can bring things in and out, and, do some crazy stuff. Somehow, whenever he's playing, I always feel like I need to make something really mean, a lot of minor seconds, I don't know. but that's our relationship. It's our relationship. It's a big, one big minor second. But basically, what I wanted to show you with all of these different tunes that are all extremely different. I mean, there are the two improvised things, which, can be really crazy and kind of minor sounding and weird. And then there's very simple harmony. And, you can use any of these kinds of things just to create vibe, create music, create something that feels like something. And that's what we're all trying to do, is create a feeling. And whether it's with your instrument or with any of these kinds of things, that's like what Kenny was saying. That's the goal. You want to feel something. The goal is not how well am I playing it, it's the other thing. What is it making me and you feel? So, yeah. It's just an extension of your instrument.
¡Dan Alexa! Bueno, pues muchas gracias otra vez por darnos toda su energía el día de hoy. Nos la pasamos increíble todos los maestros. Espero que ustedes se los hayan pasado bien. Y nos vemos puntualitos mañana un poquito antes de las 10. Así es que gracias y descansen. Descansen un poquito. Gracias.
Gobierno de México.